Today we're diving into One Piece episode 1091, spotlighting the epic showdown between Kizaru and Luffy, as well as the thrilling conclusion of Kizaru's face-off with Sentomaru. The battle between Kizaru and Luffy kicks off with some exciting new twists and turns unfolding. Additionally, we'll be exploring the climax of the battle between Kizaru and Sentomaru, and get a closer look at Dr. Vegapunk's latest weapon in action. Also, I'll be sharing some deep insights and analysis related to episode 1091. If you find the analysis spot on, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. And hey, if I missed mentioning your favorite scene, drop a comment and let me know. Just a heads up, this video contains spoilers up to episode 1091, so tread carefully. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. The clash we've all been waiting for has begun. Dr. Vegapunk's sea monster weapon, the Pacifista Mark III, going head-to-head with the Navy. The fleet led by Saint Saturn is no ordinary fleet. It's cherry-picked with several vice-admirals. Considering they're putting up a great fight, it speaks volumes of Dr. Vegapunk's genius. In the midst of this, a battle of leaders, and more interestingly, a master-student face-off between Admiral Kizaru and Sentomaru was depicted, but it was over in a flash. "Surrender, Sentomaru." Kizaru: "Sorry, old man, I made a promise, with Straw Hat Luffy." Sentomaru. Previously, in episode 1090, Sentomaru had solidified his resolve after blocking Kizaru's attack. However, faced with Kizaru's glint-glint fruit powers and combat techniques akin to Rokushiki, Sentomaru was quickly incapacitated. Interwoven within this short battle, we glimpsed a flashback of Kizaru and Sentomaru. It depicted a young Sentomaru being discovered by Vegapunk. The exact circumstances are unclear, but Vegapunk and Kizaru were in a mountainous region on a bear extermination request from a village. There, they found a young Sentomaru who had single-handedly defeated several bears. Despite his feat, Sentomaru had disputes with the villagers and seemed to be hungry and expelled from the village. In this vulnerable state, he approached Vegapunk and Kizaru expressing a desire to work and earn. Vegapunk, perhaps sensing a unique quality in him, offered him a role as a bodyguard. Kizaru, on the other hand, seems to have trained Sentomaru intensively, likely in the ways of Haki and martial arts. This flashback suggests that Sentomaru was taken in by both Vegapunk and Kizaru, forming a bond resembling a family. There are things you shouldn't hurt: Fusion Road, Brain, York, and actually, a best friend, Kizaru. Though Kizaru had earlier proclaimed to Saint Saturn about crushing the resolve of anyone standing in his way, in a manner reminiscent of Yakuza honor, his true intention was clear. He genuinely wanted to save his best friend, Sentomaru. Therefore, it can be said that Sentomaru was merely knocked down at that moment. Kizaru's attack transitioned from a light-speed kick to an explosive blast, suggesting he didn't intend to fatally harm Sentomaru. Given that no lasers meant to fatally penetrate Sentomaru were fired, it can be inferred that there might be an intention to save him. This hints at Kizaru's complex sense of justice, a blend of honor and lingering emotions. Kizaru's pensive silence and his elusive emotions are eerily reminiscent of Aokiji. Aokiji's affiliation with the Blackbeard Pirates and his past training with Garp, which included the warship bag exercise, were highlighted. Ultimately, Aokiji chose to defeat Garp despite his internal struggles. What's evident in both Kizaru and Aokiji's situations is the conflict of personal feelings against the obligations of their affiliations. This narrative of balancing personal emotions with organizational justice recurs. This suggests that both Kizaru and Aokiji will play pivotal roles in upcoming arcs, especially in relation to the Navy and the Blackbeard Pirates. Perhaps this is foreshadowing a significant event that will tip the balance of power, like an internal collapse. The Navy's strategic encirclement was in full swing as they battled against the sea monster weapon and the Pacifista Mark III. However, the tide turned swiftly when Admiral Kizaru defeated Sentomaru and used the authority chip to command the Pacifistas to attack the sea monsters. The Navy's upper hand became evident. Shortly after Kizaru's victory over Sentomaru, he utilized his glint-glint fruit ability to transform into light, effortlessly penetrating the barrier protecting the research layers. It's clear that unless Luffy manages to deal with Kizaru, the Straw Hat crew will find themselves at a growing disadvantage. Comments from Saint Saturn and Kizaru also shed light on the Navy's intentions. "It's a waste, but if I had to choose, I'd pick the Pacifistas." Saint J. Garcia Saturn. From this statement, it's apparent that while the world government initially wanted to eradicate Dr. Vegapunk due to his knowledge of the Void Century, they couldn't resist the allure of his scientific prowess. In the previous episode, 1090, the Five Elders Directive, which Kizaru defeated, also likely included the assassination of Dr. Vegapunk. This implies that as long as Punk records, the brain remains intact, the world government can monopolize Vegapunk's intellect, especially if they have the cooperative York. Conversely, as long as Vegapunk's satellites with similar ideologies exist, the world government cannot fully trust Vegapunk. Hence, for Luffy and the crew, their primary objective is to extract Vegapunk, Stella, alive from Egghead. If that's unfeasible, rescuing either Lilith, Edison, or Atlas would prevent the worst-case scenario of the world government harnessing Vegapunk's brain. In this episode 1091, an intriguing matchup is shaping up: Zoro versus Lucci. The reason for their duel? Lucci's surprise betrayal. Shockingly, while Lucci appeared cooperative, he suddenly aimed a Shagan finger gun at Vegapunk. Just before this attack, Hattori, the pigeon always perched on Lucci's shoulder, flew away. Thanks to Stussy, who noticed the assault and shielded Vegapunk, the worst was averted. However, given the suddenness of the attack, Stussy couldn't utilize her haki or abilities and took the full brunt of Lucci's blow, likely sustaining severe injuries. One wonders why Lucci targeted Stella first among the three Vegapunks. Perhaps, after spending a night with the Straw Hat crew and Vegapunks, Lucci perceives Stella as the primary threat, given her proactive ideas and leadership role. Interestingly, even though Lucci has come to value his comrades since joining CP0, he attempted to assassinate Vegapunk even when his ally, Kaku, was injured and immobile. Regardless of the outcome, a battle with the Straw Hat crew was inevitable. Numerically speaking, it's impossible for Lucci alone to restrain everyone present, putting his trusted colleague, Kaku, at risk. Yet, Lucci pursued the assassination of Vegapunk. This suggests that he might have placed some trust in Luffy and his crew, who, unlike York, have been allowing Lucci and his allies freedom instead of detaining them. Given the circumstances, it's improbable for Lucci to single-handedly subdue everyone present, endangering his dear comrade Kaku. Yet, Lucci made his move, possibly trusting the Straw Hat crew to some extent, especially since they've treated them fairly and provided medical aid. "If Kizaru and I are here, all of you will be wiped out," Rob Lucci. From this, it's safe to assume Lucci is determined to defeat everyone, starting with Zoro. Judging by Lucci catching Zoro's haki-infused sword with his haki-hardened leg, their abilities seem evenly matched. However, as escape is the current priority for the Straw Hat crew, a prolonged battle would be disadvantageous. Though Zoro and Lucci have moved outdoors due to the damage in the command room, they won't stray too far. Expecting Luffy to handle Kizaru, they'll likely return to prepare for escape. While Frankie might get occupied with ship preparations and discussions with Vegapunk, either Lilith or Bonnie might join the fray against Lucci. The defeat of Sentomaru has led Admiral Kizaru to finally arriving at the lab phase, significantly escalating the difficulty of Luffy and the crew's escape from Egghead. The original plan for escape from Egghead involved deactivating the Frontier Dome's barrier and taking to the skies to evade the massive naval encirclement. However, now that Kizaru has reached the lab phase, ignoring someone of his high mobility, among the top in the series, during the escape is out of the question. Essentially, defeating Kizaru has become a prerequisite for escaping Egghead. Noticing Kizaru's arrival at the Frontier Dome, Luffy unleashes a kick imbued with Conqueror's Haki, even before Kizaru can finish saying, "It's been a while." This marks the beginning of the much-anticipated Luffy vs. Kizaru duel after 2 years. Someone's here. Someone strong. Monkey D. Luffy. In episode 1090, Luffy sensed Kizaru's observation Haki. Given Luffy's somewhat panicked expression upon sensing this overwhelming Haki, it's evident that Kizaru possesses Haki potent enough to rival Luffy's. Moreover, there's a high likelihood of Kizaru's Glint Glint fruit being awakened. This speculation arises from the post-war of the Best incident at Punk Hazard, where the climate remains altered due to the battle between Aokiji and Akainu. Normally, Logia-type devil fruits only have temporary effects on the weather, yet Punk Hazard continues to be affected by the Magma and Ice fruits. This suggests the awakening of Logia-type devil fruits. Given this, since Akainu and Aokiji likely have awakened abilities, and considering Kizaru's equivalence with them, there's a possibility that the Glint Glint fruit is awakened as well. In terms of sheer power, Luffy, who managed to triumph over the strongest creature, Kaido, in a one-on-one battle, is presumed to be stronger than Kizaru. However, Luffy might face challenges in his battle against Kizaru due to two factors: a time limit and Kizaru's ability. Firstly, regarding the time constraint. Through Awakening, Luffy can bestow rubber properties not only to himself, but also to other objects, despite having a zone-type ability. Additionally, possessing elements of Paramecia-type Awakening allows him to adapt to various situations. This grants him enough power to outmatch the brute force of Kaido. However, as a trade-off, Luffy cannot sustain his Gear 5 state for extended periods. During his fight with Kaido, he momentarily aged, reactivating Gear 5 in a surge of spirit. Similarly, he aged during his brief battle with Lucci, despite launching only a few attacks. Abilities don't work against excessive Haki. Trafalgar Law. As mentioned in episode 1063, Law realized through his battles against Kaido and Big Mom that abilities don't work against excessive Haki. Conversely, powerful abilities might not be effective against insufficient Haki. If this theory holds, Luffy might be unable to defeat Kizaru, presumed to have an awakened ability, without using Gear 5. Thus, Luffy would need to wrap up the battle swiftly using Gear 5. Next, let's discuss Kizaru's ability. Unlike Kaido, Kizaru's fighting style emphasizes mobility and long-range attacks. Hence, just because Luffy defeated Kaido doesn't guarantee a victory against Kizaru, especially given Luffy's inclination towards close combat. While it remains speculative, Kizaru might possess a laser that can penetrate rubber. This is because Kizaru's lasers are light, and some forms of light, like X-rays, can pass through matter. If Kizaru can manipulate such special light, Luffy might not be able to block it with a rubber wall, as he did against Kaido's heat breath, placing him at a disadvantage. Kizaru, we're 100 times stronger than we were 2 years ago. Monkey D. Luffy. As Luffy's words suggest, he's likely to showcase his growth over the past 2 years to Kizaru and the audience. Considering the previous battles and the current situation, it's hard to predict the outcome of the Luffy vs. Kizaru battle. Up until now, the Pacifista Mark III, under Sentomaru's command, has been protecting Egghead from the Navy's assault. Moreover, after Sentomaru's defeat and subsequent unconsciousness at the hands of Kizaru, the control over Pacifista Mark III gets transferred to Kizaru. Additionally, Kizaru orders the Pacifista to attack the Sea Beast weapon, eliminating the blockade against the Navy's landing on Egghead. Consequently, an invasion of the island is anticipated. While several pacifistas are believed to have been destroyed in battles with the Cypher Pole and the Navy, there were originally 50 of them, indicating a significant number still remain. In essence, the Navy, which already boasted a force exceeding that of a Buster Call, has now been significantly strengthened. As long as the Frontier Dome's barrier is intact, they won't approach the lab phase. However, with 30,000 Marines and the pacifistas believed to be vastly superior to their prototypes from 2 years ago, a direct confrontation with them, even for a Yonko crew, is almost a guaranteed loss due to sheer numbers. Hence, a direct clash with the Navy must be avoided. Should the Frontier Dome's barrier be deactivated, it's crucial to escape from Egghead before the Marines and pacifistas reach the lab phase. Put differently, in what is presumed to be a short window from now till the escape, Kizaru and Lucci must be defeated. Additionally, within the ranks of the Navy officers, there's a possibility of powerful individuals with unique abilities. Not to mention, Saint Saturn might take action. Moreover, considering there are likely dozens of pacifistas that can fly and shoot lasers, even if Kizaru and Lucci are defeated, escaping remains a monumental challenge. Furthermore, Kizaru, being made of light, managed to pass through the Frontier Dome's barrier. This implies that the pacifistas' lasers, now under the command of the Navy, can also penetrate the barrier, making them capable of reaching inside the Frontier Dome. This necessitates the protection of the essential Thousand Sunny and Vega Force 1 for the escape. In conclusion, the ongoing battle at Egghead between the Straw Hat crew and Dr. Vegapunk versus the Navy and world government is overwhelmingly tilted in favor of the Navy. To turn the tables, 4 elements come to mind: the movements of the Blackbeard pirates, the presence of Sentomaru, Sanji's actions, and S-Snake's infatuation. Let's delve into each. Firstly, the moves of the Blackbeard pirates. With Sentomaru's defeat and the Navy's increasing landings on Egghead, the number of Marines surrounding the island has decreased. Moreover, the focus of these Marines is now directed towards the lab phase, where the Straw Hat crew and Dr. Vegapunk are. This makes it easier for anyone to approach Egghead, as well as Saint Saturn likely aboard the naval ships. Thus, it's almost certain that the Blackbeard pirates, who have yet to show themselves, could make a move. Blackbeard's primary targets would either be Dr. Vegapunk or Saint Saturn. If it's the former, the Straw Hat crew would be further disadvantaged. But if it's the latter, an ambush on the target Saint Saturn is likely. This suggests that the Blackbeard pirates' actions could significantly sway the battle at Egghead. Next, the presence of Sentomaru. Despite being defeated by Kizaru, there's a chance Kizaru didn't deliver the finishing blow to Sentomaru. If Sentomaru regains consciousness, while rejoining the battle might be challenging, the command over the pacifistas would revert to him. If Sentomaru continues to stay on Egghead, he could support the Straw Hat crew's escape by commanding the pacifistas. Thus, Sentomaru's presence is a crucial factor in overturning the current unfavorable situation. Lastly, Sanji's actions. In the Egghead arc, the Straw Hat crew is on the brink of an intense showdown with the Navy. Re-encounters with Lucci and Kaku, the protection of individuals targeted by the world government, the vast fleet of the Navy, and the desperate need to escape from a perilous situation. These multiple elements align, suggesting a self-homage to the Enies Lobby arc. Just like now, back in the Enies Lobby arc, they faced the challenge of escaping from an encircling Navy fleet. And in that escape, Sanji notably showcased his exceptional skills. Back at Enies Lobby, Sanji played a pivotal role in the escape by causing whirlpools that disrupted Navy ships. In the current arc, episode 1091 showed Sanji swiftly trapping Kaku in a bubble when Lucci targeted Dr. Vegapunk. You can't just escape with sheer determination, can you? Sanji. The massive naval fleet at Egghead isn't something one can escape from with mere determination alone. Therefore, Sanji could potentially play a key role in creating an escape route at Egghead. Lastly, S-Snake's infatuation. Seraphim, who received assassination orders from York against the Straw Hat crew and Dr. Vegapunk, has undergone a massive battle against Luffy's team and is currently restrained by a bubble. While the majority of Seraphim are typically loyal to their directives, there's one who can defy these commands: S-Snake. She prioritizes Luffy's requests over York's orders, as evidenced by her actions of impetrifying Frankie and the others. This implies that the infatuation gene, inherited from Hancock, has overridden the programmed hierarchy within the Seraphim. Given that Luffy is grateful to S-Snake and Jinbei is well aware of Hancock's infatuation, there's a possibility that they might free and recruit S-Snake to their side. Assuming Kaku, who possesses an incredibly resilient physique, is an awakened zone-type user, the addition of Seraphim, who is capable of inflicting enough damage to incapacitate him, could somewhat level the playing field. Frankly, for a man to resist your ability is impossible. Marshall D. Teach. In episode 1059, Blackbeard stated that he couldn't evade Hancock's ability. Indeed, Hancock petrified most of the Blackbeard pirates who came to seize the Love fruit, as well as most of the Navy personnel who came to capture her. Moreover, when the Seraphim rebelled, Frankie and the others encountered S-Snake and were turned to stone. From this, it's clear that despite her young age, S-Snake possesses beauty comparable to Hancock, making it almost impossible for humans to resist petrification. In essence, if she's on their side, she could potentially incapacitate the 30,000 Marines in an instant. In conclusion, we've explored 4 potential game changers that could turn the tide in a situation where the Navy seemingly holds the upper hand. Among these, given the strong conviction to aid a benefactor and being one of the pivotal figures at Egghead, the most probable scenario might be the resurgence of Sentomaru. That's all for today. This channel posts summaries, explanations, and ranking videos related to One Piece. If you like One Piece, we would be happy if you could support us by subscribing to our channel and commenting. Thank you for watching till the end. See you in the next video.